The seemingly de rigueur act of musicians actually plying their trade for a live audience has suddenly assumed greater cultural significance in recent days, thanks to a certain type of controversy that you may be familiar with. There has been a growing critique of social media musicians who gain popularity by misrepresenting their skills, either by outright miming to pre-recorded perfect takes, or various other means. This all came to a head a few weeks ago on a YouTube bass guitar channel run by a very clever and courageous gent named Danny Sapko, who released an expose of one such pretender, Giacomo Turra. Now, I had never heard of Giacomo until Danny's video, but within days, seemingly like everyone else, we all became intimately familiar with the details of his career. Giacomo has over 1 million followers on platforms like Instagram and YouTube, where he posts short covers of disco and soul classics with his very slick fusion guitar leads as the icing on the harmonic cake. The production is super modern, very internet, designed for easy consumption during your morning commute. There's just one problem. Apparently, his purported improvisations are actually note-for-note copies of music found elsewhere on social media. Originally pilfered from lesser-known channels with no attribution, but in a few cases even purloined from well-known players like Alex Hutchings and Jack Gardner. As you'll see if you watch the expose, the guy didn't even bother to change the tempo, the key, nothing. Just straight up thievery. It's crazy. Well, it turns out that the unraveling was sparked by a comment from a good friend of Cracking the Code, Levi Clay. You can see Levi's comment at one point in a screenshot in Danny's video. Levi's a professional transcriber and an incredible guitarist and guitar educator. If you've watched any of our interviews on the Cracking the Code site, it's quite likely Levi did those transcriptions. In Danny's video, he mentions that while he's not okay with Giacomo's sticky fingers, he is okay with the fact that Giacomo is also obviously miming the performances, because you need to get the perfect take for the internet. Well, miming has, of course, been done in music videos since the dawn of time, where the need for it is clear. Unless you're interested in self-sacrifice, you probably don't want to be plugged into a 100-watt Marshall while knee-deep in salt water. And quote-unquote performances on shows like American Bandstand and Soul Train have been mimed since forever. These were basically just music videos, almost always using the studio tracks, and I think this was pretty obvious to most viewers who were just happy for the celebrity sighting. You gotta remember, in the days before the internet, seeing your guitar hero in any format was still a pretty rare treat. But miming your short-form internet clip is a different animal entirely. This type of video content is unabashedly pick me. It has a subtle like a freight train message that you should care about the player because of the skill involved in the playing. In other words, miming this type of video is deceptive. The way it's presented clearly implies you're watching a real performance and essentially begs for plaudits because of it. Now you can agree or disagree about this, but is an even crazier fact. Giacomo's playing, mimed or not, wasn't even real. You can hear how uncanny valley the notes all sound. It's like a notation file that was simply played through an amp sim to sound like a real guitar. In a revealing comparison, Phil X actually played this lick recently in a live performance with Dweezil Zappa. And as you can see, it's usually done with shifting to maintain the picking pattern for upstroke escape. This is not how Giacomo's doing it, but that's because I think he's not really doing it at all. Without the original files, we'll never really know how they were done, and for that matter, how they were even transcribed. Which brings us to his live performances. Look, nobody should be judged by their worst lick. We've all got them, and it's not fair. But in this 1-hour live performance, there are just very few solo guitar moments at all, and when we do get them, they fall somewhere between disastrous and just forgettable. When he sticks to the song and plays unisons with the band, it is what it is. It's an hour of safe but entertaining funk covers. Which, if you set aside the deception, is kind of fine. Every jazz band ever plays standards. Not every incredible player even wants to write their own songs. Hell, many cracking the code viewers just like learning guitar technique for technique's sake. Because it's fun, it requires discipline, it offers progressive rewards. Not everyone who studies martial arts has an unresolved anger issue and wants to fight you. And not everyone who plays guitar needs a damn Grammy. Some people just want a hobby. And it's not for me to tell them how to enjoy music. In a similar fashion, the audience at a typical Giacomo show appears to be mainly party people out to have a good time. Ain't nothing wrong with that either. But once the drinks kick in, they wouldn't likely notice that the virtuoso aspect is conspicuously absent. The emperor really has no clothes, but nobody can tell. It is truly evil genius. So basically, this guy built a huge social media following not just on the back of stolen music, but also in a completely fictional skill set. No aspect of his presentation turned out to be real. It's just totally wacky. Now, after I watched Danny's video, the YouTube algorithm, hilariously unaware of its own context, then decided that I wanted to see every possible video by or about Giacomo Turra, even the fake ones. Doubly ironically, one of the first videos it recommended was this one, pitting Giacomo against Ichcanito in a battle of skill simulacra. Two obviously mimed performances, both with uncanny valley sounding production. Now, I've spent some time looking at this, and there are all kinds of problems here. For example, there's no way to go from this chord to this chord with no gap like in the recording. At some point you have to lift, which he obviously does here, but the sound continues. You could say, oh well, that's just an error in the miming, but what other way is there to do it? When played live, even by an excellent player, you still have to lift. You could probably do this with a pedal, like the Electro-Harmonix Freeze, to hold the chord. Is that what he did? Because the video doesn't show that, it just shows him playing the line like a superhuman. If he plays this live and he doesn't use a freeze effect, I don't see how this sound can be reproduced. It's just not going to sound the same. So which mimed and edited video do you like better? This is where we've arrived at, people. Now, you can like modern, hyper-produced music, that's totally fine. I love everything from Mutt Lange to Trent Reznor. In our own stuff, computers and electronic tools are as much a creative canvas as the musical instruments themselves. It's not really about that. It's about the deception. The most telling part of all these pseudo-live videos is this moment right here at the end where they look at each other and they do the "yeah, we nailed it" nod. This is the kind of thing you see all the time in actual live performances, and we've been lucky enough to have a few of these right here in our own studio. The amazing Ali Soy Kelly and Cesar Garabini did a few takes of the Choro classic 1-0. Getting hung up in small ways at various points. The last take was the keeper.
That's it.
That's it. That's the real "we nailed it" look. It's a feeling of achievement and relief that they got the take they wanted. It's no secret where Giacomo learned this. We've seen it in a million live performances. We all know what it means, and we all know why Giacomo does it. If you just sprinkle a little of this fairy dust on your video, it casts a sheen of realness over what you're doing. Knowing what we know now, seeing it in these videos is a little gross, right? It's like, yeah, we did the thing, but you didn't do the thing. Probably not on the spot anyway, and at least one of you maybe didn't do it at all. I watched Rick Beato's video where he says he knew it was a mime.
But I knew that they were all play-alongs, and I don't even think about it. Never even enters my mind that, oh, they're playing with a backing track.
Now, I know what this sounds like, but I also think it's easy to miss what he's really getting at here. Rick explains that based on Giacomo's internet videos, he invited him in for an interview only to discover that his playing skills weren't really up to par.
And when he came in here and played, I realized that he couldn't play well enough to put the video out.
And he never published it. So it's not that he doesn't care about the miming, it's that he interpreted the mimes in a particular way. After all, the mimes were what sold him. How is this possible? Okay, think of it this way. If you're a musician known for complex studio creations, you wouldn't make a music video doing the "yeah, I nailed it" face. It'd be like watching Brian Eno press a button on the mixer and then turn into the camera with the nailed it look, right? It's nonsensical. Nobody expects that because they already know that's not how you make your music. But when you make videos showing simulated live playing, including what appears to be improvisation, and you cap it with the "we nailed it" look, you are totally and completely co-opting the visual language of live performance to sell your product. You are telling the audience, I may or may not be playing this live right now, but I'm definitely a live playing kind of person. If you buy a ticket to my show or invite me to an interview, this is the type of playing you will get. And in these videos, this whole presentation was a lie. And some big people believed it, not because they're stupid, they knew the videos weren't live, but because they trusted that the message was honest, when instead, the intent was to deceive. This is why nobody got mad at Soul Train when there was no synth player on the stage. The intent is what matters, and Soul Train wasn't trying to fool anyone. So that's it. It doesn't matter if you have super slick hyperpop production. In some cases, it may not even matter if you mime or don't mime. But people do care a lot about what you are telling them with your presentation, whether or not you do it in words. In plain English, if you are not a live playing kind of person, don't pretend you are. And if you're trying to get points for your incredible playing skills and you're bending over backwards to make something look live when it's not, you probably shouldn't do that either, even if you're a good player. It's only 30 seconds. Just play it. This is more important than ever, people. We are fighting for our creative lives here against the rise of the machines. Clarity about what you are presenting and whose work it really is the line between art and artifice. Cari amici italiani, vi prego, non prendetevela. L'intero mondo ha avuto i suoi momenti imbarazzanti su internet e adesso era il turno dell'Italia. Ma l'Italia è una nazione di genio, passione e stile. Ha dato al mondo Vivaldi, Verdi, Paganini e anche il Panzerotto. Noi di Cracking the Code vi sosteniamo non solo spiritualmente, ma anche economicamente. Infatti, uno dei nostri maestri, il grande Tommo, è italiano di Roma. E lo paghiamo regolarmente, e non solo con cacio e pepe. So che vi rialzerete da tutto questo più forti, più virtuosi e ovviamente con un tono migliore, con affetto e rispetto, il vostro fratello americano con il plettro in mano.